As you're coming in, please make sure to grab your name tags. I call this meeting of the Kansas State University Student Senate to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call.
All right, good evening, guys. All right. Adams. Here. Akers. Here. Alberts. Here. Arnaldi. Here. Anders. Here. Bergston. Here. Bowler. Here. Bickerud. Here. Cafera. Dinez. DeMoranville. Here. Dahl. Here. Elliott. Here. Flores. Here. Bowler. Here. Garcia. Here. Garrity. Here. Grandy. Here. Hendrickson. Here. Hyen. Here. Hughes. Here. Jackson. Jewell. Here. Kallenberger. Kelly. Kidd. Here. Klein. Here. Maples. Here. Markle. Here. Martin.
Here.
McDermott. Here. McIntyre. McIntyre. Nope, not here. Mertens. Meyer.
Here.
Nichols.
Here.
Nedry.
Here.
Nordstrom. Ogren.
Here.
Orth.
Here.
Penny. Papoon.
Here.
Pitts.
Here.
Pruitt.
Here.
Rostenpour. Swanson. Tedrow. Thomas.
Here.
Tuttle.
Here.
Valdez.
Here.
Works. Bothwell. Or Harp, sorry. Zwick.
Yeah. Here.
Sorry. Right. Harp. Haynes.
Here.
All right. Bothwell.
Here.
Carpenter.
Here.
Cruz. Dahl.
Here.
Gammon.
Here.
Grover.
Here.
Hornung.
Here.
Horton.
Here.
Hodgkinson.
Here.
Houghton. Jabin. Keekly.
Here.
Karmali.
Here.
Karanja. Kellerman.
Here.
King.
Here.
McAdam.
Here.
Malmberg.
Here.
McCandless.
Here.
Meinhardt.
Here.
Peckard.
Here.
Pelton.
Here.
Putnam. Roth.
Here.
Rodriguez. Savarino. Shao.
Here.
Chumlin.
Here.
Wheeler.
Here.
Whitmer.
Here.
Witzke. Zyke.
Here.
All right.
All right, with that, we'll move into first open period. Our first open period speaker is Jeff Morris, Vice President for Communications and Marketing.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, how long would you like me to address it initially? Can I give you permission to have the parliamentarian throw me out if I go too long?
You have 10 minutes and 5 minutes for questions.
All right. So thank you. Pleasure to be here. I see a lot of familiar faces tonight. I'm Jeff Morris, Vice President of Communications and Marketing for Kansas State University. I have been here 8 years. K-State graduate, class of 1980. It's a while back, probably the age of a lot of your parents out there. Have been in higher education for 15 years. Was in private industry for 25 years before that in the ad agency business and industry. So I have a lot of communications background and bringing it here. So I want to talk about a couple of things tonight. The first is how the university responds when we have crisis communications and we have things that affect our publicity. And the reason I want to talk about that is because I believe there's a real role for student leadership in what we do. Jack's sitting over here, and I know Jack and I have talked a lot. I've talked with almost every student body president at some point during their term about what's going on and how we respond. And it's really important, I think, that the student leadership understanding how the university responds, why we respond, what we can and can't do as we're moving forward with this. Next week, we're going to see some things on campus called Living Democracy. It's going to go through April. I would encourage you to participate in those events. For this group, especially when we have legal people on campus talking about the legal ramifications of free speech, that you try to attend some of those sessions. There's a lot of controversy in America right now about what we do when controversial people want to come to campus. Student government leaders are in the middle of that. And there's not a lot of clear answers. Because we have the First Amendment on one hand, and we have people who are having really offensive speech on the other hand, and those things don't always line up. And there's a real discussion going on across the nation. It's affecting campuses all over the nation. So I want you to be aware of that. So in my office, we're what I call the first line of response. When something happens, when there's an event and things blow up on social media, we get the first calls. And that's intentional because we want the university to have a single voice when we respond to stuff. And that's very important to us. So has anybody here had military service? Any veterans in the room? If you had been in battle or combat, you would know that what they call a fog of war exists. And if you ask President Myers, he'll tell you that in battle, in war, the first responses from the field are always wrong. And what we found at the university, a lot of times when an incident happens, the first information we get is always wrong. So why is that a problem? Anybody want to guess why that's a problem? Why it's wrong if we get wrong information? Let's say we get a report that a student's done something and it's horrific and everybody's offended and it blows up in social media and gets international coverage within a 2-hour period, and we find out that person wasn't a student. That couldn't happen here, right? Let's say we have an incident where someone is accused of posting offensive posters on campus, and we find out later that that's part of an organized national group that's doing this all over the nation. it's really an organized effort to do this, to create controversy on college campuses, specifically because they know that they come here and they do this, they will get the reaction they want. That couldn't happen here, could it? Let's say a bunch of students are sitting in a dorm and they're going to make a really stupid video that 20 years from now they would not want to be seen when they're 40 or 60 my age. But they go ahead and post it because they know it's a satire site. They know that it's just funny, they're not being serious, but it gets misinterpreted, it goes viral, and all of a sudden you have people's reputations damaged. Couldn't happen here, right? All those things have happened here, and they all happened here in like the last 4 months. 4 days ago. So that's important. So what's important to me, and our response is going to be, our response is always, we want to find out the truth first before we respond. But what's the pressure today, right? It's blowing up on Twitter. It's blowing up all over the place. We've got to respond. We have got to have the facts before we respond. And this is what makes me nervous as a leader. So today, what happened yesterday at the shooting in the high school parking, right? So today, NBC reports that the Russian trolls were out today on both sides of the equation, spreading misinformation and attempt to inflame opinions. I think that's interesting. And they said, so what did they do? They said, well, they're drumming up persona accounts on both sides, and they're going to take advantage of high-impact events to spread confusion and disarray. In particular, they want to take advantage of how Twitter doesn't identify users. So I think that's something we have to be cognizant of as leaders. We have to make sure that when we hear something, that we have to verify that it's the truth and from a trusted source before we react or overreact. Because it can cause serious damage to people and to the reputation of our university. And this is kind of new. So I have on my desk a report called Commanding the Trend, Social Media as Information Warfare. How many people have read that? You should. Have you really? God bless you. So this came out. This is about what happened in Mizzou. This is what happened. I saw a Kansas City Star article yesterday about how the Russians trolled Mizzou. So this guy went through, he's done his research. So on November 11th, 2015, Pray for Mizzou was trending, the hashtag Pray for Mizzou was trending on Twitter. Okay, so as a result, these things are getting posted saying the KKK was on the campus in Columbia. Anybody heard those reports? Right, and there were reports, there's a picture of a young guy that got beat up, which actually, and so then there were pictures of people saying, watch out, this is going on. These were Russian trolls. This was not true. It was widely reported in the media.
Turn the mic.
No, it's widely, it's an on or off?
It's off.
Maybe they like to not hear me.
Because we're live streaming. Start over, Jeff.
Okay, sorry. So for all those who missed everything I said before, I'm not going to repeat it. So what happened was there's 3 ways that they do this. They have these. They set up a bot network, and they were taking advantage of the fact that they can retweet, and there's techniques that they use that are very sophisticated. Okay, this is the next state over, right? This isn't like somewhere else. So they spread these stories. So this disinformation campaign was very successful. Well, it turns out the picture of the kid was a picture from an auto accident the year before in Ohio. They tracked the account and found out that a few months later that same account was repurposed to Germany, where it was used to spread disinformation for a German campaign. So look at the effect that this misinformation, these wrong details had on an entire college community. Brought down an administration, right? Damaged the enrollment for the university. Caused a huge amount of harm. Now, Mizzou had some issues going on. I don't want to downplay that, but they were accelerated by people that had bad intent. And I think it behooves us to pay real attention as we look forward to doing this. You know, one of my favorite things is they said that, you know, the student body president, you know, was out here spreading that information. Later had to come out and apologize. Well, I had wrong information and I spread it. Because the student body president's a trusted source, right, Jack? I mean, there's a lot of pressure on you when you come out and say something. You're representing a lot of people, and we talk about stuff. You know, how do you respond and when you do that? So I think it's really incumbent on leadership to do this. So what can you do? I think it's really important that you always make sure that you're in concert, you're working as a team, you're talking with each other. When these things happen, that you have a one voice, you know who your spokesperson is going to be, and when you do that, you come out and say, we're going to respond to the facts. We're not going to respond with an emotional response early in an incident and perhaps make the incident much worse than it could be. And it's not just us. So one of the things that I'm concerned about is, like, we had an incident last fall, and we're still looking at it. It was one of those false information incidents that went out. But when I look at how quickly that went viral, and we track stuff all the time. It was much quicker than our typical incident, which makes me wonder if somebody wasn't out there helping us misspread the information about that. So this is the world we live in. It's a world where we don't have anonymity, where we've got things that can happen very quickly that can spin out of control from a message standpoint. So what I would ask you to do is get involved next week. Go to the Living Democracy stuff if you can. Understand how you're going to respond as an administration, as a unit and as a school to social media issues that come up, which is really what I wanted to talk about today, because these are things that are most important to us. So as you prepare for that, get this study and read it. The guy's name is Lieutenant Jared Pryor, P-R-I-E-R, United States Air Force. It will open your eyes as to what's going on in the world. And there's a lot of people right now that are not necessarily in our best interests. I will tell you, I was naive last fall when some things happened. I said, well, that's not K-State. That's just somebody being an idiot. And then I start to find out that some of these things are a lot more deliberate. They're a lot more intentional than we think. And we have to be together as a family to make sure that we trust the family and trust each other to come up with the right responses when these things happen. So that, Mr. Speaker, are my prepared remarks. I will accept any questions if there's time.
Just under time, too. With that, are there any questions for Vice President Morris? Director Kuchera.
Thank you for coming and speaking to us. One of the concerns that I heard from students last semester was the guts of some of the administration's statements on some of those incidences were planned out several weeks in advance with all the specific wording. So my question for you is, how do you weigh maybe a more authentic, organic response which speaks to the moment and communicates to students with maybe a statement that might have a little bit more correct speak and has been crafted weeks in advance?
Well, first I'd push back a little bit because I'm the person that crafts most of those messages. And I can tell you that a lot of times it's at 3 o'clock in the morning. So here's the challenge. One is you want to acknowledge people's pain. Even if it's false information, people are still in pain and these incidents still affect people. So we got to come out and do that. Second is, a lot of times as administrators, we know things that maybe we can't talk about, and that's one of the hardest parts of leadership is when you're in a position of knowledge and you have a FERPA rule or you've got a legal reason why you can't come out and give information, and people always want it, right? They say, well, what happened? What are you going to do, and how are you going to punish people? And we're not even sure what happened yet. So we have to avoid the rest of judgment. I think, Stephen, I think we've learned a little bit. Honestly, and one of the things that we've learned is that what we say, and I've been spending a lot of time with language trying to get input from students. It's a lot of times in academic, we want to speak in this protective language and legalistic language, and what we've learned is what we say and what people hear can be two different things. And I've been spending a lot of time having people say, when I use this phrase, what do you hear? And what they hear is, well, that's mumbo jumbo that you're hiding behind. And I think it takes more courage sort of to find that out, but that kind of feedback's valuable to me, and I count on my student leaders too. I would count on President Ayers here to call me up and say, Morris, we don't know what the heck that meant, or this is how this was interpreted. And I think it's a valid criticism. First, second, I think it's incumbent on us to make sure that what we say is what we mean and what people understand. And that's hard because what you say is not always what people hear. And a lot of times we have these big words in academia, right? We like to use all these 3-syllable words, and I think we should be suspicious of anything with more than 2 syllables when it gets right down to it.
Further questions? Caucus Leader Pitts.
Jeff, you said that several allegations have been spread by bots on social media. Are there any ways for us as students to know if a social media account is a bot?
It's hard because they're good at it, and you can't go look at a profile until. And they spin up fake accounts, and what they're doing is they've got these programs to beat the algorithms, right? So what they did with Mizzou is they started changing hashtags and dropping them in, and it just fanned the flames. So, a lot of times I think we're not going to know till afterwards because we're not sophisticated enough in our. I don't know, maybe Gary could do it, but it's not that easy. I think what you're seeing nationally is you're seeing a real pushback to hold some of these social media accounts accountable. Because, it affects all of our lives, right? It can be a really great tool, but it can be a really damaging tool. And I think that's the case. So I think the thing we have to do is, I'm a journalist, and I was taught not to be cynical, but to be skeptical. And what that means is I don't just believe everything I hear until I see what the source is and can verify the information. And I think that's lost in society today, Right now, it's all about how fast can you get out there, you know, bing, bing, bing on my phone, and there's not the time to find out the truth or to vet it. And it's not, I'm not whining about it. Is that whining? That's whining. I'm whining about it, but we can't do anything about it, so it's the world we live in. But we have to be kind of skeptical and just don't accept it as truth because somebody posts it. And even images can be easily altered. I mean, that's the thing I know in my shop. We can Photoshop anything. We could make me tall. I mean, and I just have to do that. But it is hard. We just have to know. And that's why I don't like anonymous stuff. Remember Yik Yak? Yik Yak was horrible. I mean, you know, Yik Yak was the lowest part of humanity was exhibited in Yik Yak. And it was because it was anonymous. And I think we've learned when people are anonymous, they're a lot more cowardly in what they say. And I think we need to have, you know, be accountable. If you want to say something offensive, then stand up here and say it. You know, if you want to have an extreme position politically, then own it. But don't sneak on campus and post something on a light pole in the middle of the night. You know, that's not bravery. That's not taking a stand. That's, you know, that. And I think we have to hold people accountable.
Further questions? Caucus Leader Kidd.
Yeah. So I'd be interested to see if, I guess just ask you, has your department done any research to see if there's any sort of significance in, I guess, the initial message of what's shared? So for example, I get your point of saying we need to do our research first, we need to find out our true sources of info and whatnot, but I think part of it, at least from my perspective, like me personally, sometimes when a response isn't elicited, like I know that people are doing their background research on it anyway, but have you guys done any research to see if it's calming people to just for you guys to say, like we are looking into this, we're sorry that this has happened to the Manhattan community, whatever, but we're looking into this more. I mean, has anything been done to see if there's any like effects, if that actually does anything, or is that just like, or sorry.
So I'll tell you my philosophy that is evolving. I think you have to come out and acknowledge that there's an issue, and you have to tell people we're going to act on the truth and we're looking to find it out. And that won't necessarily mitigate everything, because a lot of people want this rush to judgment and there's a lot of that. So, but I think what we've learned is that you can't be quiet, because being quiet makes it look like you're not doing anything, even if you are frantically doing stuff behind the scenes. So you got to come out and say, okay, we've seen this, we're working on it, we're going to try to find the facts. And sometimes that takes time. You know, sometimes these investigations we've done have taken 2 or 3 days, which is forever. You know, when you're sitting in my chair, I want the answer like tomorrow. I mean, right now. I don't want to wait tomorrow. I don't want to wait 2 days. Because I've got media calling, I've got social media out there. So the pressure is. So I think yes, but I think also as a society we're getting a little bit better at understanding that, you know, we've all been fooled a few times, right? I mean, we've all got duped, and so I think we're getting a little more sophisticated. And it's like, well, okay, well maybe that's true, maybe not. And if it is true, then we can have a strong reaction. But let's don't just rush to it right now, because it may not be what it seems. But yes, I think you have to respond quickly in today's world, or you lose credibility.
Time for the speakers expired. Is there a motion to extend?
Move that we extend the time by 5 minutes. Second.
It is moved and seconded to extend by 5 minutes. If there are no objections, you got 5 more minutes. Question, Senator Akers?
Yeah. So with the evolving communications with students and the different channels, what are you guys doing as a department to continually keep updated and understand the messaging like how students do? I know you said talking with students, but you guys bringing people from outside sources, from other universities, or how do you guys?
We do. We also, really the best thing that we do is we have a lot of student employees. And when I got here, we didn't have any social media presence. We didn't have a YouTube channel. And you look at what the change in media in the 8 years that I've been here, it's really pretty phenomenal. And video right now is the #1 consumed medium. And we do a tremendous amount of video, but we also know that video, if it's very long, if it's not very interesting, it doesn't last very long. So we do that. We have, I'm going to Washington, D.C. with a group of universities in March, and we're talking about the KSU Unite and how universities are responding to these kind of incidents when they have controversial speakers or when they have a lot of incidents on the campus, and how they get together and communicate. I think what we're learning is that and this goes back to what I talk about my language. I had some people on my staff go out and do some real research on messaging and what people are hearing and what's useful to them or what would mitigate a situation, because it may strike you as funny, but I may not be the perfect person to relate to college students today. So what I want to hear from is I want students going out and get that information on our behalf, because you'll be more honest with them and you'll tell them. Because what we appreciate is candor, and we appreciate direct feedback so that we can be as honest as we can in our messaging. And sometimes you don't want to do that. When you come in a position of authority, people don't always tell you the truth. People tell you what they want you to hear. So that we do have to do that. We do have to do that through focus groups and networking and having our students actually helping us craft our messages.
Further questions? If not, thanks for coming tonight.
Well, thank you very much.
Our second first open period speakers are Ashley Thomas and Andrea Feldkamp. They are the co-chairs of the Professional Staff Committee for Faculty Senate.
Good evening, SGA. I'll go ahead and introduce myself first, as Ashley is distributing handouts to you. I'm Andrea Feldkamp, and I am an academic advisor in the College of Human Ecology for Food, Nutrition, Dietetics, and Health. So this evening, we are going to share with you a career ladder proposal that we've put together. Before we get started, I'll allow Ashley Thomas to introduce herself.
Good evening. My name is Ashley Thomas. I'm an academic advisor in the College of Business, as well as the co-chair of the Professional Staff Affairs Committee on Faculty Senate. So thank you for having us.
Excellent. And keep us on time if we move past.
You're doing great.
Okay, awesome. So as I shared initially, we're going to talk with you about career ladder for academic advisors. First, before we get started delving into the career ladder, I would like to have a show of hands for those of you within the same major. Now, if you change major, obviously you're going to change your advisor. That's pretty standard. But in your same major, a show of hands if you've had more than one academic advisor over your time here at K-State for that same major. And I want you to keep your hands up, and I want you to all look around and see how many students that this has impacted. Okay, thank you. So you may now put your hands down. So one of the things that I want to share with you, maybe your first question is, why should we spend time on a career ladder for academic advisors? Why is this important? Well, as research has shown with career ladder development in general, this impacts overall retention. In this case, we're talking about retention of academic advisors. When academic advisors turn over, that impacts you as a student and your experience. It could mean that maybe you've received conflicting recommendations on courses. Maybe your timeline to complete your degree program changes just because of those moving factors and those moving pieces. Another reason why a career ladder is important is because retaining advisors means that there's consistency for you in both advising. It also means it improves morale and just the whole outlook and the personality and the atmosphere at K-State. And we want that to be a positive experience for you as students. In order for that to happen, we need there to be positive morale for advisors to serve you most effectively. So those are a couple of reasons of why a career ladder would be very important. Some of the other things that research has shown is it improves the skill set of your advisors. You all want to have quality advisors, correct? That are based in strong counseling skills, have access and knowledge of resources that you need to be your best student that you can possibly be. So that's another benefit or resource of having a career ladder. So I'm going to turn it over to Ashley, and we're going to talk a little bit about how we got to the document that's sitting before you today.
All right, so what you have in front of you is the actual structure that we have proposed and are trying to gain support for at this point. So believe it or not, academic advising is actually a fairly new profession in the grand scheme of things. And so a lot of research just about academic advising and career ladders doesn't exist. Recently, in this past October, NACADA, which is the National Academic Advising Association, it's actually housed here at K-State, if you didn't know that, put out a set of core competencies. They developed a set of core competencies that said, this is what we feel like is important for an effective advisor. These are the characteristics, these are the skills, these are the traits that they need. So they put this out, and this career ladder is actually built on that foundation. Why is that important? Because a career ladder like this does not exist yet. So we're very excited about the possibility of this and the potential, not only here at K-State, but the implications that it could have internationally. So we're kind of putting K-State on the map with this, which is pretty exciting. So what we are proposing is a four-tier system. So you can kind of see, I'm not going to go through all of this, that's just ridiculous, but what you can see in front of you is what we feel like as advisors, what NACADA feels like at each level of the career ladder, so that we can provide, you know, if you're going through your career, you want to know what the next step is and what you need to do to get to that next step. And so that's what we're trying to provide for not only our advisors on campus, but for the administrators that are overseeing those advisors and that type of thing. So we put together a task force on campus of actually academic advisors that built this. So it's much better to have the people doing the work build the structure than have the administration tell us what we do as our jobs. Yes? That makes more sense, right? So this is a very grassroots effort, kind of groundbreaking effort that we're putting forward here at K-State. So any comments beyond that before I talk about where it's going next?
So far this is a draft proposal, and we have talked to a number of groups. We've talked to University Advising Committee. We have actively involved different advisors across campus with Advisor Forum and had a task force put together of advisors representing all the different colleges across campus to develop this draft. We have also been talking to various levels of administration, working with HCS or Human Capital Services to help make sure that this process can happen. So we bring this forward to you tonight to help you be aware of the work that we are doing to make sure that you have the best possible advising experience while you're here at Kansas State. So as far as what's happening next, we're ready to switch gears into that.
All right, so what's next for this? So right now, Human Capital is very, very busy doing a lot of different things on campus. They're restructuring basically the entire human resource system at K-State. So career ladders, while it is on the agenda for Human Capital to do, it has been postponed to the spring of 19. Okay, that's per President Myers. So while we're a little bit disappointed in that, we want to continue moving forward. So at this point, what we're trying to do is gain support for this career ladder. So that's why we're here tonight, because ultimately you guys are the ones that it impacts the most. Yes, it impacts the academic advisors, but your advising experience is extremely important, and I know it's been a major pillar of your of SGA this year, so I feel like it's very timely that this is actually coming forward. So we would just ask for the support of SGA, whether that be in a form of a letter, whether it be, you know, however you feel is appropriate for us to, or if you feel it's appropriate to support this, that's what we would ask of you tonight. So with that, we would stand for questions.
Questions? Chair Neatery?
Yeah, this might be a stupid question, but I have no idea what a career ladder is.
Oh.
So can you explain what's going on?
Absolutely. So a career ladder is basically just a path of career progression. So you don't want to just be, let's use McDonald's, for instance, right? You don't want to just be working in the drive-thru or something like that your entire career at McDonald's, right? You want to progress to a manager, maybe a regional manager, those types of things. That's what a career ladder is. It's a career progression for people in that profession. Does that help?
Another thing that a career ladder does is help to recognize skills that you have as an advisor or whatever profession with compensation. So that could be payment or other types of rewards. Because you have acquired certain skills, you can progress higher and do more things, and so you get compensated for that in more ways.
I have a follow-up.
Follow up, Chair Neatery?
Yeah, and then with the different ways that all the colleges are structured for advising, how does that work?
Excellent question. So in the development of this ladder, it's very general because academic advising looks very different across campus. We also have academic coaches, which have the hat of advising as well. And so this document provides some foundational skills that advisors need to be successful. These have been recognized by NACADA, but it still allows it to be individualized per college or unit to be able to make it work for their particular advising system. Great question, thank you.
Director Krutz?
Yes, has this been copyrighted or trademarked in any way? What's the process on that? Okay? No? Okay.
It has not been copyrighted, no. It responds to the process for getting something copyrighted. I honestly have no idea. So the people that I would guess would have hands on the copyright thing for K-State, definitely Human Capital Services, because this impacts the whole human resources aspect related to academic advising. So we have put a disclaimer on it that says it's currently not the structure at Kansas State because we don't want people to think that it's currently in place. We are in the process of getting it to that point. So I'm sorry, at this point I don't have any additional information on that, but thank you for that question.
Caucus Leader Rustenpour?
Hi, so I've never had a professional advisor. My advisors have always been just faculty who advise me. So can you explain the benefits of having someone who's a professional advisor versus someone who's not? Like,
yes, and actually we'll talk about the difference between both of those. And there's benefits to both of them. So faculty advisor are typically someone who teaches within the department, has research within the particular unit, or has had professional experience out in the field, and they are doing all of those things in addition to advising. So typically with a faculty advisor, their advising loads or the number of students they advise is often less than what a professional advisor would do, and you would be able to get more of the industry focus and related to the regular questions that you would ask an academic advisor, your course sequencing and things like that. As far as professional advisor, a professional advisor's main role is the whole advising piece. And as you as a student are aware, advising is more than just picking out some classes to enroll in, right? There's more to life in college than just enrolling in classes. So on the professional advising side, professional advisors are dealing with things such as catastrophic issues that affect a student's academic performance, helping them find internship opportunities, helping answer questions related to, in my case, I have students that are moving on to pre-med, pre-OT, pre-PA, all these pre-health professions, helping them get connected in those ways. Answering questions related to financial aid or academic progress, lots of different things that maybe a faculty person doesn't have the information on or the time to be able to address all of those specific type student things. So, like I said, there's benefits to both models. In general, K-State is starting to move more towards a professional advising model because with a professional advising, the general recommended load is 1 advisor to 300 students. So that may seem like a lot, but when you're working full-time on that student relationship, that is what's been deemed by NACADA and nationally as doable, 1 to 300. So a faculty individual, obviously they have research allocations and teaching time and other commitments as well. So that makes a little bit of difference as far as what their advising load looks like.
Time for the speaker has expired. Is there a motion to extend? Senator Akers?
Move that we move the speaker's speaking time to 5 minutes.
Moved and seconded to extend by 5 minutes. If there are no objections, you've got 5 more minutes. Caucus Leader Valdez.
What kind of changes, like tangibly, are we going to see when we go see our advisors because of the career ladder?
Did you say what changes?
Yeah, what tangible changes can we see? Are we just going to go and just get take all the class to enroll in and stuff like that? Or what actually is going to change?
Definitely, excellent question. So one of the benefits of having a career ladder is that everyone will have the expectation to acquire the same skills. Right now, and this is another project that's in process, there is no onboarding required for academic advisors. They can be hired, they show up, they start advising. there's no training whatsoever that's required? Or is there any requirements on a certain skill set that they need to have before they're able to start meeting with students? So when I think about that, that scares me because you're basically messing with people's lives and you want to make sure that you're doing the right thing for them. What a career ladder will do is make sure that across campus, we have the same expectations about what an advisor is expected to do, what they need to be able to do, the skills they have to have in order to be able to advise students. So there will be requirements of things that they need to be able to achieve in order for them to be able to be in that role. And as the progression goes across in the 4 tiers, it's easy to see that as advisors gain skills, gain experience, then that means that they're able to move up into other positions that impact more and more students in a positive way.
Further questions, President Ayers?
Yeah. So I guess I might have 2. But my first question is, will the information about which tier an advisor is in be public? Like, would I be like, oh, I want to go see Ashley because she's tier 4 instead of so-and-so tier 3?
Okay. I'm not certain yet about that.
So that will be entirely up to human capital. Notice there's no title connected to the tiers here. We just have tiers. That is up to you. As of right now, the academic advising, it's the A8. Classification. All advisors. Yes. Yeah, okay. So and the salary range on that is actually, So so this would be within that A8 range, and so whether they attach like advisor 1, advisor 2, senior advisor, whatever, that's completely up to human capital. So we don't have a lot of control over that. It just depends on what they decide to do with titles.
I see. Yep. And kind of a follow-up, Jonathan. You bet. How many advisors would you say are in, if we were to implement this tomorrow morning, how many tier 4 advisors do we have on campus? So like what percentage-wise?
That's a good question.
Like, I guess we probably haven't gone out and done that because it's not approved yet. But.
Yeah, we know how many professional advisors there are. Yeah, we know how many.
No, how many professional advisors there are.
So professional advisors right now across campus, and keep in mind, this is just with the classified A8. There are some other people that advise that aren't classified as A8, so that is a whole other different discussion. But there's like 77 is what there is as far as professional advisors. As far as how many would fall in tier 4, maybe 25%, because you got to look at advising experience and also the skills as well. So I'd say maybe 25%. As far as tier 1, I don't know, maybe 50%, because turnover in some departments has been high. So.
Further questions? Director Kutra?
What other examples did you use when crafting this career ladder, and what type of feedback opportunities have been for all K-State advisors to output feedback?
Excellent question. As far as our starting framework, the College of Business, of which Ashley is an advisor in, started an initial draft with just the College of Business, and so we utilized that. We also looked at as many institutions as we could find, and there was really not many, to see what was already in existence for advising career ladders. As Ashley indicated, the professional advising career is relatively new. Probably within, I would say, the last 10 to 15 years, it's really started to gain ground and focus. At K-State, if you would have looked 15 years ago, there would have been way more faculty advisors than professional advisors. Now the tables have turned. So with that, the framework is just now getting into place. The second question you had was, can you repeat that again?
Feedback opportunities. For
Feedback, thank you. Okay, so as I indicated initially, we had a task force which was consistent of about 12 to 13 advisors from across campus. We also sent this out to the Academic Advisor Forum, and there's about 60 members on that to allow them to provide feedback via a Qualtrics survey. We had 2 more meetings where they gave feedback, and we incorporated all of that feedback into that. Human Capital Services was given the opportunity to provide feedback. We incorporated their edits, and it was also presented to the University Advising Committee, which has administration and other advisors represented on there for feedback. So that's where we're at currently, and now we're presenting it or sharing it with you.
Time. Time for the speaker has expired. Is there a motion to extend? Senator Akers?
Move that we extend another 5 minutes.
Second.
It is moved and seconded to extend by 5 minutes. If there are no objections. Further questions, Senator Grandy?
First off, thanks for your work. This does not seem like it was an easy task, and there's a lot of information here, so thank you. Really appreciate it. Secondly, will this be somehow incorporated into like semester evaluations, final evaluations for advisors to make sure they're hitting these touch points?
So human capital, when we met with them to get their feedback on this, they actually are hoping to, where do I start with that? So career ladders are something, like I said, is on their agenda. As a piece of that, performance evaluations are as well. So I would imagine, so you all do the advising survey every fall, right? So I would imagine that as what their hope is that they will take this, not only implement the career ladder itself, but also implement the performance evaluation structure as well from it. And then this is the first, there's several groups on campus that have been identified that need career ladders on campus. And so I have a meeting, my professional staff committee has a meeting with Jay Stevens, who's a human capital vice president, on April 3rd. Our suggestion to him is going to be that they use this as a pilot for other career ladders on campus and implement this in a slow way, so that as a communication plan and implementation plan, all of those things. So what they will use as far as performance evaluations and things like that, clearly we need and want student input on advising on campus, because ultimately it impacts you the most. And so, you know, what human capital does with that, I hope that they do something like that. Yeah.
Further questions? Sorry, I can't see your name tag.
No, I don't have it, Cruz. So as far as like the different tiers, and there being like different amount of advisors on each tier, how would students be assigned? Like, how would you, I guess, be like, I get assigned tier 1 or
Sure.
tier 3 or 4?
Sure. Right. So that's probably going to be up to the departments, because, for instance, Andrea is the only Andrea. On my team, there are 8 of us. So it's going to depend on the department and what the structure is of that department and what the best business model is for that department. So that's something that the departments themselves and the units themselves are going to have to be very careful of, because if you notice, one of the things when we in the College of Business originally developed this model, we said, okay, the lower tier advisors are going to have a higher caseload of students, and because the higher tier advisors are going to be mentoring the lower tier advisors, and doing all kinds of, you know, higher level things. And so, you know, it depends on what, but if we have all of our advisors up at the higher tiers seeing fewer students, who's going to take care of the students, right? So it just depends on what the best business model is for, you know, that department.
Further questions? Chair Bickreed?
Reading over the ladder, quite impressive. The one area I think I find to be fairly lacking and incredibly vague is around any sort of training or development towards equity and inclusion and the multicultural aspects that go into advising with different underrepresented groups. And I feel this is an incredibly powerful way where it can be introduced, but I feel like we're completely missing the mark if we don't. So has that been something that's been considered? Has there been pushback on it? Or why is it only limited to just 1 or 2 bullet points in a vague manner?
Sure. That's a very good point. So I wouldn't say there's been pushback on it, but it definitely has been noticed recently. So that's definitely an area that we could expand upon. So I appreciate that feedback from you, because it has been noticed. And it's something that, especially even in the NACADA core competencies, it's just a small piece of even the NACADA core competencies. So I think it's definitely something that could be expanded.
Further questions? Caucus Leader Kidd?
Yeah. Hello. So with this document, of course, the biggest focus is on undergraduate students, but only because I represent graduate students. Is there any sort of research that's going to be done looking into if this could be beneficial for like graduate students or like master level or doctoral level?
That is a great question. So I'm in my PhD program right now, as you know. And, I am hoping to do my dissertation on the development of this ladder. And so you know, maybe grad students will be part of that. As of right now, it is just an undergraduate model with, I think, the potential to be, you know, expanded into other things. And that was one of the reasons that we kept it fairly broad and vague, because the advising community at K-State is so diverse. So we have to be very cognizant of that and careful with that and make sure that it does fit all campus. So.
Further questions? If not, thanks for coming tonight.
Thank you.
With that, our third first open period speaker is Gary Pratt, the Chief Information Officer.
Wow, what an engaged group. No pressure. All I really wanted to do is introduce myself. I've been here now for about 4.5 months, and as I shared with an earlier group, that's about long enough to get the deer in headlights look out of my eyes. A lot of folks don't actually know what a Chief Information Officer is, and that's fine. Basically, I am in charge of all the technology across campus. So there is a centralized IT group called ITS, and then there are a number of decentralized IT groups that serve colleges, different business functions, that sort of thing across campus. The president, in developing my position, changed my position so that it reports directly to him. And one of my charges coming in was to really make information technology a strategic factor on campus, which really hasn't been a focus in the past. And so coming in, I've been spending a lot of time just getting out there and meeting with different folks, different groups across campus, including this one. Andrew and I have been talking on and off now for the whole 4.5 months. And one of the things that I shared with him is I can't be successful in what I'm being asked to do if I don't get the input and the participation of students in developing where we need to go, how we support things. One of the struggles or the challenges I have coming in when we look at a information technology support across campus is when I'm looking at a decentralized model, which we do have almost half of the IT staff don't report through my group, is that you have a lot of disparate things going on campus. So you have different things. What we heard earlier from a group that we were meeting with right before this meeting, you know, a good example is clickers. You have multiple clickers if you take classes in different places across campus that you have to buy. Proximity cards. If you in this res hall and then you need to access a lab or a specialty space in your academic department, chances are you're having to carry multiple cards with you, and so on and so forth. It just keeps going and going. There are a lot of different standards, a lot of different approaches on campus. So part of what my charge coming to campus is to really identify what are these challenges and make recommendations on how we start responding to that. What are some of the issues that we're having? What's working? What's not working? What should we be doing that we're not doing? If you have friends that are going to other campuses, what things do they have available to them that you wish you had available to you? So one of the things that I'm going to do in response to that is a formal strategic planning process where we're going to do a lot of information gathering across campus. And I'm going to be doing a series of focus groups and interviews with folks from all the different constituents, from students, staff, and faculty, to really find out what's working, what's not working, and so on and so forth. So as we move forward, I'm hoping that you will participate when we put out a call for participation in that. We're going to do a focus group specifically for SGA, but we're also going to have an open student focus group where we put out a call to campus to get students involved from everywhere. Now we have a lot more students than I'm going to be able to fit into 2 focus groups for sure. So we're also looking at other options, other creative ideas, which we talked with a student technology group earlier today and a group right before this, and got some great ideas on how we can cast a larger net and get input from students on things, you know, that they're experiencing in the use of technology in the teaching and learning realm, in research, in you know, every aspect of what they're doing. So just keep your eye open, and I want to make sure that you understand that this is an open invitation to participate. Just a little background. Like I said, I've been here for about 4.5 months, but I have actually been in higher ed for 30 years. I've been doing IT for about 25 of those. I started as a faculty member. I was a math faculty. I know that probably isn't something I should share with folks if you want to get to know me better. I am that very left brain person, but I have been supporting at 4 different institutions, starting at a community college in Colorado. I was there for 13 years. I was in Kentucky at Northern Kentucky University for 7 years, and at Eastern Washington University in Spokane. So the one thing Eastern Washington University is known for is we're the one with the red football field. So that was a very interesting part of my time there, is to see football players wearing red jerseys playing on a red turf. It's a very interesting thing to watch. So anyways, I just wanted to introduce myself to you. Feel free to answer questions, and I'm going to go ahead and share with you my email address is gpratt@ksu.edu. So if anyone wants to carry on a conversation outside of this forum, I'm more than happy to do that. If you want me to come meet with smaller groups to talk to you about things or get your input from things, I am very open to that. So just let me know. And with that, I'd like to stand open for questions.
Questions for Chief Information Officer Pratt?
Oh, come on. You really put the other guys first. Yeah.
Senator Akers.
You know, you said you've been here for 4.5 months. So what's the #1 need that you've kind of identified so far that needs to be pursued here at K-State?
One.
You can be top 5. I don't know.
We have a lot of different things going on. I think that all of the IT staff, whether they're within ITS, the central IT unit, or the decentralized units, really are struggling from not having a strategic direction or a single direction to go. They're trying to do 1,000 different things at one time. I shared with the earlier group, it's hard to say no to anything. They don't really have an idea of priorities and directions we need to go. So we have a project structure is a good example. We have the top 10 projects, and it's my team that's deciding what those top priorities are, even though they're institutional IT projects. We have a bunch of projects in what I call the churn group, and that is 75 different projects that are being worked on in one way or the other, trying to move things forward. And then we have the group down here that I affectionately call the black hole. It's where projects go to die. 245 projects that are sitting down here that have no action going on them at all. And I've got, since I've been here, probably 15 new projects come in the door. So how do we handle that? How do we do that? How do we get priority to understand what actually is going to have impact, what's going to affect students, faculty, what is going to help K-State? So that's one of the things that I have a challenge is trying to figure out how we can do a better job. And it shouldn't be IT wearing that black hat saying, nope, we're not going to work on that one. It should be institutional leadership that helps us do that. Students should help us understand that. I've had the conversation with Andrew, where do we get the priorities so we understand what students want to have and be able to get it out there. Inconsistencies across campus is another one. I've had a couple of you folks in an earlier meeting mention how classrooms, the clickers was a great example. You have different clickers being used at different places, and the students have to pay for it, even though they're using the same technology, but it's a different brand of the technology based on what an individual faculty member may want to use. We need to get some level of standard and consistency so it's not falling upon the student to figure that out. There, I think, are some formal governance things. Support for research is another thing that I've run into that I think is beneficial. Support for getting a consistent direction in really the web space, where we go with the design of our website, how we handle social media, really ramping up what we do in support of mobile technology. That's kind of the web space that I'm talking about. And I actually heard from a number of the students in the session right before this where that is a significant issue that they want to work on. I've got about 100, so I'll just share those for right now. But none of these are horrible. None of these are bad burning issues, but we want to ensure that we get some consistency and standardization. I'll just mention one more. Like wireless bandwidth. I mean, it's inconsistent. There's some places you get really good coverage, some places you just see your hourglass just keeps spinning as you're trying to get a signal. We want to be able to get so that no matter where you're at, you're going to have the bandwidth and the signals that you need. Those types of things. Thank you.
Caucus Leader Valdez.
So a lot of the big problems came up this last year with Equifax being hacked. And I've noticed that a lot of spam messages have been coming through my emails, but not a lot of people can differentiate between like a spam email and a real email, which then allows for a lot of personal data to be very vulnerable in terms of like students and faculty. How are you planning on increasing the data security of K-State?
That is an excellent question. I can tell you that is hitting everywhere on campus. So there's a number of things that we're working on. The first thing is hiring a Chief Information Security Officer. That's been a position that's been open now for well over a year here at K-State. They've attempted to hire that position, but they've had a number of failed searches. So I want to get somebody who can really be in charge of my security. I have an information security team that can really be in charge of that team to help lead us forward. I think a major piece is training, and there is a training that we offer across campus both for students, staff, and faculty, and it's actually a requirement, a state requirement that staff and faculty go through this. We provided it to students. Unfortunately, we had a small population of students that actually participated, so just a couple hundred students that participated even though we offered it across campus, being smart, understanding what these things are. We have put a bunch of tools in place, and we need to even strengthen those tools so that we can see some of those that come in. We hear about what these threats are. Unfortunately, they're always reactive how we hear about it, but as soon as we hear about it, we put it out so that at our border firewalls so we can stop them before they come in. But I still am getting the phishing attacks even at my email address here at KSU, even with those sniffers out there. So we want you to report them. If they come in, you get something that you don't know. Like I said, the smart thing is if it's asking for you to click here and you have no idea what it is, or it's just, oh, cool, you can get access to free stuff, click here, it's probably not a place you want to go. We have a number of different things. It is, cybersecurity is a major issue, and I think we need to really focus on that. Another thing we're working on right now, piloting, is a multi-factor authentication so that you have to do more than just put in your password. You actually, if you go to an ATM, you have to put in a password or your PIN, but you also have to have the card. So you got two things you got to do to be able to get access to that system. What we're talking about is something where you have to input a code that is newly created every time you log in that helps you get there. The system that we're piloting right now, it's called Duo, D-U-O, if you want to ever look it up. It's a pretty cool system, and actually every time I go to log into KSU's system, it says that you need the code. So I can actually have that code pushed to my to my phone or my iPad and be able to type that code in besides my password and be able to have that control. So even if a person got my password somehow, they still wouldn't be able to get in because they don't have that secondary code to get in. So once we pilot that, we're going to look at mainstreaming that across campus for students, staff, and faculty. So we're always looking at new ways to upgrade our protection on campus.
Time for the speaker has expired. Is there a motion to extend? If not, thanks for coming tonight. We appreciate it.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. With that, we'll jump to approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Yes, sir. Senator Pepin. It is moved and seconded to approve the minutes. If there are no objections, the minutes will be approved as presented. With that, we'll move into announcements. I want to direct it to the announcements section of the agenda. First off, it's K-State Proud Senate Week, so with that, I'm super excited to see all the K-State Proud shirts. And thanks for wearing those tonight. Y'all look great. Also tonight, proxies update. Annie Jewell is the proxy for Ethan Kallenberger, Markle for Works, Mertens for Tidrow, and Hughes for Dinez. And then interns that are excused tonight are Natalie Jabin. With that, I want to recognize our SGA Member of the Week this week. That goes to our Attorney General, Haley Hanneman. Specifically, Haley's been doing an awesome job this year with the judicial branch, but then also has been an amazing leader for making SGA Week happen this week. So really proud of the work that she's been doing. And with that, upcoming events calendar is included. Also the same quote as last week because I forgot to change it. One person can't help everyone, but everyone can help someone by Ronald Reagan. So with that, we'll continue on with our agenda. There are no commendations today because the authors decided to hold that one for next week. There are no approval of the appointments, so we'll move into committee reports. With that, there are committee reports included with the agenda. Are there any questions on the committee reports included in the agenda? If not, are there any committee chairs that would like to make an additional report? If not, we'll move to director's reports. Are there any director's reports? Director Kuchera.
So I want to give a shout out to the Accelerated Fellowship Program members who are sitting out in the lobby. They've been attending these Student Senate meetings an hour beforehand to learn more about student government for the last 4 weeks. And so thank you for hanging around for the first hour so we can actually get to some business now. The only announcement I had is in your agenda, and I'm going to save the other item I wanted to talk about until next week because we've had a lot of talking already. So I will relinquish my speaking rights to Haley Spellman, who has some information on a survey for you all.
Hey guys, I had come out a little bit before winter break actually and kind of made a little bit of an announcement on a survey that I was going to be working on. So we've actually finished the survey. There's 2 of them. One's going to be for positions within SGA. The other one's going to be for within the committees, looking at like responsibilities, kind of what everybody does on SGA and the other opportunities that are possible as a senator, if you're on exec, just looking at everything within SGA, especially if you don't really know what's going on at the moment. But really the main purpose that we're going at with both of these surveys is for incoming students. So ones that are looking at running for Senate, ones that are looking at even just going to meetings every week, every couple weeks, just trying to get a lot of people on board and aware of what SGA does and what kind of opportunities there are out there and what we can do. Really is just getting the rest of the campus involved. Overall, we're probably going to be looking at launching the first survey, the position survey, within the next week or so. So probably expect an email in your inbox maybe Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, hopefully at the latest. And then there will also be a second second survey. That's going to be the committee survey. So just kind of keep a lookout in your email inbox. But yeah, thank you. I do stand for questions if you have any.
Any questions for Ms. Spellman?
So when you get that email, please turn that around as soon as you can. And I just want to thank Haley because she just started showing up at meetings last semester, and she said, "How can I help?" So I think that deserves a round of applause.
Alrighty, with that, are there further director's reports? Student Body President Ayers.
Okay. Let's start this director's report on a fun note. Hey, Tell, come on up real quick, buddy. All right, so I spoke to don't worry, I'm not going to do this. I had this really great idea, and Jordan totally shot it down. So we had interns come to cabinet, and we were talking about Kansas legislature things, and I gave a little survey, a little quiz, if you will, and Tell knew every single member of leadership of the Kansas legislature. So Tell, a Kit Kat for you. All right, a couple of things going on, but that was probably the most important thing I'll say tonight. If you want to tune the rest of this out. A couple things I want to call your attention to. First of which is also on a lighter note. For those of you who attended the SGA banquet last year, we had a speaker by the name of Tracy Mann who came and spoke. Tracy, former student body president at K-State, is a good personal friend and mentor of mine. And Tracy, on Tuesday night, was announced the Lieutenant Governor of Kansas to be sworn in on last Wednesday, or yesterday, yeah. So anyway, just thought it was a cool note for those of you who got to meet him, and I think he'll do a great job in that new role. A couple other things going on state legislature-wise. House Bill 2042, which I think I talked about last time, is the bill itself is about concealed carry licensure and reciprocity between other states. However, there's been an amendment that was made to that bill, which essentially would require a license for anybody who wanted to carry on campus. It would also move the age of concealed carry down to 18, where now it's 21. So it would allow 18 to 21-year-olds to carry, or 18 to anybody older than that, to carry on campus so long as you have a license. And that's something that's currently in the Senate Fed and State Committee. They had a hearing last week, and since it's not the official policy of the student body presidents in Kansas, we are asking for local control, not a statewide approach. We didn't get involved in that Senate operation. I personally think that licensure makes a good move, but since it's not the policy of the Kansas student body presidents, we didn't officially act on it. So that's something going on. There's another bill I want to talk about is House Bill 2643, and I was looking through on my computer because there's a little bit of confusion on it, but it's about the students that are products of the foster care system in Kansas have tuition waivers. That it's been a law for a while, and there's a part of this bill, like I said, that's been introduced in the House that would make tuition waivers not available for undocumented students, even if they had a record of living in the state for a long time. And I know that to be true. There's also some sort of component about how the university would be required to pay on that or have some action on that. And it's been a little unclear. We were talking about it in our student body president group today, and I need to go through it. I need to actually read the bill. But there's a hearing for that on Monday, and I'm planning on presenting some sort of testimony about that because I think that waiver should be applied to all students. It's students that have lived in Kansas for their entire life. It's very similar to what we're talking about with DACA. Speaking of which, that's kind of my last point on legislative advocacy-wise. There was, we'll be going to Big 12 on the Hill, 5 of us, in the end of February, and we will have a letter both from all the Big 12 student body presidents and from Kansas that we'll present to our delegation, basically encouraging a comprehensive legislative solution to DACA. So that'll be something that is coming down the wire. I think it's a good move, and I hope that there's action on that before the March deadline. Last thing, there is the classroom renovation survey that I sent out. I think it was like at the beginning of the month, or I guess it was the beginning of the month, and that is due tomorrow at 5 p.m. So if you could all please do me a favor and make sure that, one, you've personally taken the survey, and second, that you've shared the survey. The only feedback we've kind of gotten so far, I mean, we've had a pretty good turnout so far. About 2,000 students have taken it. Feedback we've gotten, though, is about the English and Counseling Services building, not on the survey. And I want to explain that real quick to everybody here in case you get that question as well. English Counseling Services building does not have any general use classrooms. So none of the classrooms in there can be scheduled by the university. The money, since all students are paying it, we decided should go to central use or centrally scheduled classrooms, general use classrooms. And since ECS doesn't have any on there, the money is not eligible for that. It's also not eligible for things like labs that are department scheduled. So there's a lot of buildings, or there's a lot of classrooms and lab spaces and other offices on campus that are maintained and scheduled and funded to some extent by the department. And so changes to those would have to come from the department through a fee or through tuition dollars, things like that. So just wanted to explain that in case you hear that as well. And like I said, that survey will close tomorrow at 5 p.m. I just sent out that student body listserv email. If you'd forward that or otherwise share that the best you can, please. We need that information so we can allocate the $1 million that we have towards classroom renovation. And I'll be keeping everybody up to date on what we read on the survey. So thanks so much.
With that, any questions for student body president Ayers? If not, are there any further director's reports? If not, I will want to make two quick announcements real quick. First off, a big thank you to you all for your participation at SGA Week this past week. So, super excited with how that turned out. We had a number of great days of things going on. And specifically, I want to highlight today's event, which was the Pia Senator event, Pia and SGA member. We raised over $100 for Cat's Cupboard, so we were pretty excited about that. Big thank you all the way around for SGA Week. So last thing I want to say is I think I have everybody's name tags there in the back. So if you could get those out for me, that would be awesome. Don't all make a rush for the back, but maybe next meeting grab those. In the middle, there's a handy PAR law reference that I think is pretty neat. So feel free to grab those next meeting. It really helps me out with knowing names. So with that, I'm happy to stand for questions. Student Body President Ayers.
Hey, how many fees were proposed in TFSC that I can mention in my report?
Yeah, I can cover the Tuition and Fees Strategy Committee. So this week, the Tuition and Fees Strategy Committee met, and from Provost Mason, we received 4 different fees from 3 colleges. So the College of Engineering proposed a $15 faculty surcharge. The College of Architecture, Planning, and Design proposed a $15 increase to their technology fee. The College of Human Ecology Department of Personal Financial Planning proposed a $20 increase that they hope to be a part of a larger $50 plan, and that is for their courses only. And then in the College of Human Ecology as well, the Department of Kinesiology proposed a $15 per credit hour fee increase to their courses for faculty as well. So with that, I'm happy to stand for any questions on TFSC or any of the rest of my report. Director Kutra.
When are TFSC meetings and where is that schedule posted for people to attend?
Yep. So TFSC meetings are every week on Tuesday evenings at 6 p.m. I'll try to keep you guys posted through the Senate agenda with when those meetings are all happening. So, yeah. Senator Martin.
The College of Engineering surcharge that was proposed, was it a college-wide one or department by department?
Yep. So that will be a college-wide fee is how it was proposed to us. Yep. Good question. Further questions? If not, we'll continue with our meeting. Our next item of business is the approval of minor allocations. The only bill in minor allocations is Bill 51. Bill 51 is an allocation to the Kansas State University Bassoon Club. They've requested $800 and were recommended $800 for their project, bringing Dr. Keith Collins to campus on March 7th through the 9th. With that, is there a motion to approve the minor allocations? Chair Nadery?
I move we approve the minor allocations.
It is moved and seconded to approve the minor allocations. Is there any debate? Seeing none, if there are no objections, the minor allocations will be approved. With that, we'll move into final action. Final action will begin on Bill 52. Will the author of Bill 52 please come forward? Have any changes been made?
All changes have been made.
Could you elaborate?
Yes. Okay. So there was robust debate in the Government Relations Committee. None of it was that controversial. So basically, and someone can help me out here. So I included, when I wrote this, several provisions saying that membership should be drawn from the student body and student governing association at large. Senator Kelly rightly pointed out that student governing association is drawn from the student body at large, so we just put student body at large. There was some debate about timeline, so requiring the state relations director who would be taking on these extra duties as chair of the Legislative Advocates Committee, requiring them to meet with certain people, so checking in with the Office of Government Relations periodically, checking in with various administrators and other students. So we were on the whole reluctant to put like hard timelines, so must we meet bi-weekly, must meet monthly. So there was just a couple of things that were struck from that. And basically, Chair Bickerud I would defer to him if he can think of anything else that was made.
The only thing I can think of was the larger discussion around the change of role in terms of state relations director and the duties assigned with that, which he chose to act on.
Yes. So, at least this year, in student body president Ayers' administration, the role of state relations director was parsed out further to include federal relations director, which is Trent Kennedy. So that we felt that was a discussion that we would probably not address because we did not want to mandate in the bylaws a creation of a federal relations director position. So that will need to be something that is addressed in the future or just left vague on purpose to allow individual administrations the freedom to create whatever director's position, not whatever director's positions they want, but as they see fit. With that, I'll stand for questions.
Are there any questions on the corrections? If not, first right to debate.
So legislative advocates, it was born out of the, it was first an idea from the Van Rankin Kennedy administration. They brought it back from a Big 12 conference. Iowa State University does something very similar, but they did not take it as far as we do. A lot of other Big 12 institutions have similar programs. So I would urge everyone to, if they're okay with the language, I would urge everyone to vote yes on this. Civic engagement is a core mission of our university, and this really addresses that. We did some cool things this year in Legislative Advocates Program, and future administrations I've met with both of them that made it past the primary, and both of them have said that they think this program has value, and so we really hope that will be continued, and that civic engagement will continue to be a core value of Kansas State University.
With that, any questions on Director Kratz's debate? If not, is there any debate in the negative?
Vote yes.
Any further debate in the positive? Any debate at all? If not, we will proceed into a bulk roll call vote on Bill 52. Just a roll call vote, not a bulk roll call vote. Sorry.
All right. Adams?
Yes.
Akers?
Yes.
Alberts?
Yes.
Anders?
Yes.
Arnaldi?
Yes.
Bergston?
Yes.
Bowler?
Yes.
Bickerud?
Yes.
Cafera? Dinez?
Yes, by proxy.
DeMoranville?
Yes.
Dahl?
Yes.
Elliott?
Yes.
Flores?
Yes.
Fuller?
Yes.
Garcia?
Yes.
Garrity?
Yes.
Grandy?
Yes.
Hendrickson?
Yes.
Hyen?
Yes.
Hughes?
Yes.
Jackson? Jewell?
Yes.
Kallenberger?
Yes, by proxy.
Kelly?
Yes.
Kidd?
Yes.
Klein?
Yes.
Maples?
Yes.
Markle?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
McDermott?
Yes.
McIntyre? Mertens?
Yes.
Meyer? Nichols?
Yes.
Nedry?
Yes.
Nordstrom? Ogren? Orth?
Yes.
Penny?
Yes.
Capoon?
Yes.
Pitts?
Yes.
Pruitt?
Yes.
Frostenpour? Swanson? Tedrow?
Yes, by proxy.
Thomas?
Yes.
Tuttle?
Yes.
Valdez?
Yes.
Works?
Yes, by proxy.
Zwick?
Yes.
Harp?
Yes.
Haynes?
Yes.
All right, 42 to 0 to 0.
All right, with that, we'll move into consideration of Bill 53, which is an allocation to NOMAS. Will the author please come forward? On campus allocation, Chair Orth. Have there been any corrections made?
We made the correction changing name that someone brought up last week. I don't remember exactly what it was. But yeah, all corrections have been made.
All right, with that, first right to debate.
Yeah, so Nomos is bringing in a speaker from, from Los Angeles to talk about their event. The event will be held on from April 9th to the 11th. They're expecting around 150 to 250 students to attend. They'll get to hear a lot about their professional opportunities within their degree.
With that, any questions on Chair Orth's debate? Seeing none, is there any debate in the negative? Further debate in the positive? Any debate at all? If not, we'll move into a roll call vote on Bill 53.
Hi guys, it's been long. Adams.
Yes.
Akers.
Yes.
Alberts.
Yes.
Anders.
Yes.
Arnaldi.
Yes.
Bergsten.
Yes.
Bowler.
Yes.
Bickerud.
Yes.
Cafera. Dinez.
Yes, for proxy.
DeMoranville.
Yes.
Dahl.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Flores.
Yes.
Fuller.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Garrity.
Yes.
Grandy.
Yes.
Hendrickson.
Yes.
Hyen.
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Jackson. Jewell.
Yes.
Kallenberger.
Yes, for proxy.
Kelly.
Yes.
Kidd.
Yes.
Klein.
Yes.
Maples.
Yes.
Markle.
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
McDermott.
Yes.
McIntyre. Mertens.
Yes.
Meyer. Nichols.
Yes.
Nedry.
Yes.
Nordstrom. Orth. Ogren. Orth.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks. Sorry. Penny.
Yes.
Papoon.
Yes.
Pitts.
Yes.
Pruitt.
Yes.
Rostenpour. Swanson. Tedrow.
Yes, by proxy.
Thomas.
Yes.
Tuttle.
Yes.
Valdez.
Yes.
Works. Zwick.
Yes, for proxy.
Wait, Works?
Yes.
Thanks. Okay. Zwick.
Yes.
Harp.
Yes.
Hines.
Yes.
Yep, no, we're good. Thanks.
Awesome. By a vote of 42 to 0, Bill 53 passes. With that, we'll move into introduction of legislation. Is there a motion to consider Bill 54? Intern Coordinator Jewell.
I move Bill 54. Second.
It is moved and seconded to consider Bill 54. Will the author please come? Just kidding. We don't need motions to consider minor allocations. Is there a motion to consider the minor allocations? Intern Coordinator Jewell.
Move we consider the minor allocation. Second.
It is moved and seconded to consider the minor allocations. We have three bills that are in minor allocations tonight. The first is Bill 54, which is an on-campus allocation to the Paraguayan Student Association. They are requesting $280 for the Paraguayan Social on March 27th at Jardine Tower, and the recommendation from the committee is for $280. And with that, Bill 55 is a travel allocation to Delta Sigma Phi. They've requested $500 for travel to the Regional Leadership Academy on April 20th and 21st in Austin, Texas. The recommendation out of the committee is for $500. And Bill 56 is a travel allocation to the Photography Club. They are requesting $4,250 to travel to the SPE conference on February 28th through the 4th in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and the recommendation from the committee is for $400. And with that, each of the minor allocations will be referred to the committee that introduced them. With that, we'll move into introduction of legislation. Is there a motion for Bill 48? Intern Coordinator Jewell.
I move Bill 48. Second.
It is moved and seconded to consider Bill 48. Will the author please come forward?
Guess what? It's the same piece of legislation we've edited like 4 times. Okay. So what we're doing here, oh, I have to read it, don't I?
Unless there's a motion to summarize. Intern Coordinator Jewell.
I move the author be allowed to summarize.
Okay, thanks.
It is moved and seconded to allow the author to summarize. If there are no objections, you're allowed to summarize.
Awesome. So what we're doing here is we're fixing some of Jonathan's mistakes. I just thought I would announce that. Last year we added Wildcat Watch to the privilege fee, so they needed added section 1, subsection B. Also, Student Governing Association, to be more transparent with funding that goes towards student government. We pulled that from the CSI privilege fee, so that needed to be listed separately. And then within the union, there's a KSU food contract termination agreement, and the auditors asked us to pull that out separately as well. And so down below in the schedules, you can see that they are added where they need to be as far as the schedule goes. The only other thing is that Student Governing Association should have been in year A. Sorry, not year A. It should have been in year C. If you're looking at section 2, that would have put a lot of responsibility on the treasurer that year. They would have had to bring 3 things in front of the privilege fee committee, and that's a lot of work to bring information in front of the privilege fee committee. So we just moved Student Governing Association up a year early to be reviewed a year early so that the treasurer, those duties can be dispersed a little better.
Awesome. With that, are there any questions on Bill 48? Senator Martin?
Does that mean that JCOC will also get formed a year earlier as well?
Yeah, so JCOC gets to be formed next year. Yay.
With that, further questions on Bill 48? If not, that bill will be referred to the Privilege Fee Committee. With that, is there a motion for Bill 57? Intern Coordinator Jewell.
I move Bill 57. Second.
It is moved and seconded to consider Bill 57. Will the author please come forward?
Bill 17-1857, fiscal year 2018 on-campus allocation to the Society for the Promotion of Indian Classical Music and Culture Amongst Youth by On-Campus Allocations Committee. Whereas the On-Campus Allocations Committee received and reviewed the on-campus request of the Society for the Promotion of Indian Classical Music and Culture Amongst Youth, SPIC-McKay. Whereas SPIC-McKay is planning the Sant Dance Fest, an Indian classical dance concert performed by renowned classical dancer Ramya S. Kapadia. Whereas Vasant Dance Fest will include live classical Bharatanatyam dance to live music and singing by accompanying artists. SPIC-McKay will host this classical Indian dance concert on Saturday, March 10th, whereas Vasant Dance Fest will be open to the public and students. Whereas SPIC-McKay is registered with the Center for Student Involvement as an independent student organization, and whereas the funds requested by this group and the funding recommendations are made as follows. Product 1, Vasant Dance Fest, March 10th, Forum Hall. The entertainer's request was for $4,890, and we recommended $4,890. Be it enacted that Section 1, upon passage of this legislation by the Student Senate and signature of the Student Body President, and upon signing of the award agreement by the members of SPIC-McKay, required by the university, SPIC-McKay shall be awarded and distributed $4,890 from the NISA CONRSV for the event described.
With that, are there any questions on Bill 57? Any corrections? If not, that bill will be referred to the On-Campus Allocations Committee. Is there a motion for Bill 58? Intern Coordinator Jewell.
I move Bill 58. Second.
It is moved and seconded to consider Bill 58. Will the author please come forward?
So Bill 58, amendments to the Kansas State University Student Governing Association bylaws concerning the executive cabinet positions by Samantha Thomas, Glenn Bickerud, and Stephen Kuchera. Whereas graduate student representation is important on the student body president and vice president's cabinet. Whereas the Graduate Student Council voted on February the 5th, 2018 to codify the relationship of the Kansas State University Student Governing Association by amending its governing documents to include a Graduate Student Council Student Governing Association liaison position, and whereas it is necessary to continually review and update the Kansas State University Student Governing Association bylaws, be it enacted that Section 1, Article 3, Section 3, Subsection J of the Kansas State University Student Governing Association bylaws is hereby amended to read as follows. It's replacing the Graduate Student Council President or designee with the Graduate Student Council Student Governing Association liaison, who shall serve as a connection between these two governing bodies. The responsibilities will include serving as a voice on the cabinet and in student governing association for graduate students, attend graduate student council general meetings and executive meetings, present a report at each graduate student council meeting regarding the student government and university-wide initiatives that SGA is undertaking, and fulfill all responsibilities and privileges enumerated in Article 4, Section 5 of the Graduate Student Council bylaws. Section 2, upon passage by the Student Senate and signature of the student body president, this bill shall take effect.
With that, are there any corrections on Bill 58? Senator Martin?
Line 27, I think government should be changed to governing.
Good catch. Further corrections? Seeing none, are there any questions for the authors? Senator Grandy.
I don't know if you know the answer to this, but what's the difference between the graduate school liaison and the graduate school representative that sit on graduate student council, if there is one? Because I know they're two different positions.
So you're talking about the two different student government positions to graduate student council. So currently there is a so in graduate student council, there are different representatives. There are two from student government. One is at least one student senator representing the graduate school, and the other one is somebody from student government cabinet. The graduate student council voted on February the 5th to make the cabinet position a permanent member of graduate student council. So they would be expected to attend executive board, which is once a month meetings, and the general meetings, which are once a month. So that is a connection between both organizations. So it's not, so graduate student council knows what student government's doing, and student governing association knows what the graduate student council is doing. Did that answer your question, Senator Grandy? Okay, thank you.
Further questions? Chair Needery?
If I'm understanding right, what is, you might have just explained it,
Yeah.
and I was listening.
Yes.
But why can't that be summed up into one position? If the person's going to both meetings anyways?
So there is no limitation that one student center representing the graduate school is a representative on GSC. So there could be all the graduate student centers can attend graduate student council. It doesn't have to be just one. It's at a minimum one. There are advantages to having, and I guess this is getting debate-like, but and I'm more than happy to defer to president or vice president on this, but there are advantages to having someone who serves on cabinet, who has access to those conversations, who offers a different perspective and access to those different directors in student government and can inform graduate student council to those opportunities, just as there are senators from the graduate school who can maybe do a better job communicating what happens in this body and different things in the legislative branch. Did that answer your question?
I might ask a question. So who fills the student senate position?
Student senate position?
You were just, if I understood right, you were describing that there's one spot on cabinet that represents the executive branch side conversations.
Yes.
And there's one that represents the student senate side conversations. Is that all the senators, or is that?
At least one. At least one graduate student senator will attend a graduate student council meeting. So there could be more than one, but there's an expectation that at least one graduate student senator representing the graduate school attend those meetings. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was me last semester towards the end of it. So we'll normally talk about which person can attend the meeting, and then one of us will go.
Cool. Do you have something to add, Cox Leader Kid?
Yeah, I was just going to add to that. I think on the GSC end, there should have been, well, I think on the GSC end, they weren't following their policies either. And so I was just told by someone, maybe you, or maybe, I don't even know, but I was just told to go. So, and then when I couldn't go, I just kind of had Nikki go for me. So that's it.
Further questions? If not, this bill...
Clear as mud? Okay.
Bill 58 will be referred to the Executive Committee. Is there a motion for Bill 59? Intern Bothwell. It is moved and seconded to consider Bill 59. Will the author please come forward? Senator Tuttle.
I move that the author be allowed to summarize.
It is moved and seconded to allow the author to summarize. If there are no objections, you are allowed to summarize.
All right, thank you very much. So we're going to talk about the election of the treasurer right now. It's written down in two places, once in our statutes and once in our bylaws. Actually, I guess both in our bylaws for how the treasurer is to be elected. The first section there in the third whereas clause is in the ACT committee standing chair section. And then the fourth whereas clause there is actually in a treasurer specific section of the bylaws, so Article 6. And the reason that I believe this was this mistake was made, was because when we were changing the treasurer position and changing several other positions in SGA, this would have been my sophomore year, so 2 years ago at this point. There's a bill that was coming through Senate that likely wasn't going to pass, and they slipped this change in there, and it passed. So we need to straighten this out and get it put back to the way it should be and the way it's been done, at least this past year. So what we're going to do that is we're going to remove the entire election of the treasurer out of the ACT part of the bylaws, and then we're going to go with the section that's in the treasurer's portion of the bylaws. And the one change made in the treasurer's portion of the bylaws was to remove the process shall be completed by the first Friday after spring, I assume, break, and be approved by Student Senate. And we just changed that to the appointment shall be subject to the approval of Student Senate. This wording was put in this way to look more like a chair or exec appointment.
With that, are there any corrections on Bill 59? Are there any questions for the author? If not, this bill will be referred to the Executive Committee. With that, is there a motion for Bill 60? Intern Bothwell?
I move that we consider Bill 60.
Second.
It is moved and seconded to consider Bill 60. Will the author please come forward?
Bill 17-1860, amendments to the Kansas State University Student Governing Association statutes concerning student advisory boards by the Privilege Fee Committee. Whereas the Privilege Fee Committee adequately reviews and updates the Student Governing Association statutes pertaining to the Privilege Fee Committee, and whereas in order to adequately make decisions that are representative of the entire student board, a student quorum shall be met. Be it enacted that Section 1, Chapter 30, Section 30, 0801 of the KSU SGA statutes is hereby amended to read it as follows. All agencies receiving funding from Privilege Fee shall have and utilize an advisory governing board to make recommendations to the agency. These boards shall consist of a student majority, meet at least once a semester, and not assess dues for membership. In order for business to be conducted, a quorum of students must be met for each meeting. Section 3. The stated changes should be made to the most recently updated KSU SGA statutes. Section 4. This bill shall take effect upon passage of the Student Senate and signature of the Student Body President.
With that, are there any corrections on Bill 60? Chair Beckerud.
Line 9, association, the word should be statutes, not statutes.
Thanks.
Yep. Further corrections? Intern Bothwell.
It jumps from section 1 to section 3 with no section 2.
Thanks.
We'll get that corrected. Further corrections? If not, are there any questions for the author? If not, this bill will be referred to the Privilege Fee Committee. With that, we have completed introduction of legislation, and we'll move into second open period. Are there any speakers for second open period? President Ayers.
Yeah. So I just want to clarify one thing. I am really appreciative of Faith and Sam for sending me a text about the bill I talked about with the undocumented students' tuition payments. So there was a hearing today, but it sounds like there wasn't. Faith, I'm going to totally steal your text, so I apologize. Jump in if I'm saying this incorrectly. There was a hearing today, but it sounds like the committee it'll probably die in committee given the makeup of that higher education committee. So big shout out to both of you for that. Just want to clarify in case anyone wondering.
Any questions for President Ayers? Seeing none further second open period speakers? Chair Neatery?
Yeah, the Privilege Fee Committee this week will not be in the SGA conference room. It'll actually be at Levine Health Center. We're getting a tour and a pretty extensive presentation, so if you want to be included on that and you've never been to Levine or want to know what their services are, come join us. It'd be great to see you guys.
Questions for Chair Needery? If not, Chair Andrus.
Thanks. Okay, so Glenn and I work with the Honor and Integrity System. I am the graduate teaching assistant, and he is a practicum student for that office. So this semester we've been planning an integrity week all about academic integrity and honesty, and so that's going to happen next week. And so on Monday we'll be having a banner that everybody can come and sign with all of our logos and things like that on it. So come find us in the union, and then we'll have tea bags on integrity. Really cute and corny, I know. And we'll be doing that on Tuesday, and then there'll also be on Tuesday, just for anybody, kind of a brown bag lunch that anybody can come and learn more about the system, the code, how everything works in our office, and how we go through violations and reports. So, yeah, come see us.
Questions for Chair Andrus? If not, further second open period speakers? Senator Pitts.
If you want to listen to more accurate legislative information than from President Ayers, sorry, Doug. The Government Relations Office is having a legislative update tomorrow at noon in the Bluemont room. So you can email me if you have questions about it, but it's always good to listen to Dr. Peterson talk about everything that's happening in Topeka regarding higher ed. So.
Awesome. Questions for Caucus Leader Pitts? If not, are there any further second open period speakers? If not, we'll move into reference of legislation. Bills 54 and 57 will be referred to the On-Campus Allocations Committee. Bills 55 and 56 will go to the Travel Allocations Committee. Bills 48 and 60 will go to the Privilege Fee Committee. And Bills 58 and 59 will go to the Executive Committee. And with that, we'll move into second roll call.
Adams. Here. Akers. Here. Alberts. Here. Anders. Here. Arnaldi. Here. Bergston. Here. Bowler. Here. Bickerrood. Here. Cafera. Here. Dahl. Here. Elliott. Here. Flores. Here. Fuller. Here. Garcia. Here. Garrity. Here. Grandy. Here. Oh wait. Oops. Sorry. Computer problems. Grandy, you're here? Here. Okay, sorry. Hendrickson. Here. Hyen. Here. Hughes. Here. Jackson. Jewell. Here. Kelly. Here. Kidd. Here. Klein. Maples. Here. Markle. Here. Martin. Here. McDermott. McIntyre. Mertens. Here. Meyer. Nichols. Here. Neidry. Here. Nordstrom. Ogren. Here. Orth. Here. Penny. Here. Papoon. Here. Pitts. Here. Pruitt. Here. Rostenpour. Swanson. Thomas. Here. Tuttle. Here. Valdez. Zwick. Here. Harp. Here. Haynes. Here. Bothwell. Here. Carpenter. Here. Cruz. Here. Dahl. Here. Gammon. Here. Grover. Here. Hornung. Horton. Here. Hodgkinson. Houghton. Keekly. Here. Karamali. Here. Karanja. Kellerman. Here. King. McAdam. Malmberg. Here. McCandless. Here. Meinhardt. Here. Peckert. Pelton. Here. Here. Wait. Double here.
For Packard.
Okay. Pelton.
Here.
Okay. Putnam. Roth.
Here.
Rodriguez. Savarino. Shao.
Here.
Chumlin.
Here.
Wheeler.
Here.
Whitmer.
Here.
Witzke. Zyke.
Here.
All right. Have a great weekend, guys.
All right. Before we all jump up, is there a motion to adjourn? Senator Papoon?
I move we adjourn to next week, same time, same place.
If there are no objections, we'll be adjourned.
Ow! I thought you actually said no. I really want to because I need to present the
What is that face, Bill Harlan?
It was